Pakistan, India's neighbor in the West, is witnessing its worst political turmoil in the recent decades. And there are strong chances that its current prime minister would lose his seat based on his performance and poor performance and lack of credibility and governance record. My name is Dipanjan. I'm the diplomatic editor of Economic Times, and I'm going to take you through the process of explaining the current state of political affairs in Pakistan. The precarious economic situation in Pakistan, and it is on a downward spiral. Firstly, they have not been able to meet the requirements of FATF and continues to be in the grey list, and therefore investments, particularly from Europe, are few and far. The IMF also has not extended any new support to Pakistan. The only support that Pakistan gets is from China, and that has pushed the country towards a debt trap. China has acquired many assets in Pakistan and will continue to do so in the coming years. It was expected that that Imran would be able to push the economy because he didn't come from a political dynasty. He tried to introduce certain austerity measures for his own party people and his ministers. But there are reports many of the ministers have been deep neck in corruption and have not been able to deliver. And today, Pakistan's economy is staring at a crisis. Till the 80s, probably Pakistan economy was still reasonably placed as a developing country. But then there was the increase in the population and no efforts made to empower the middle class. While such efforts were ongoing in India and as far as in Brazil, there's no middle class in Pakistan, and therefore their economic base didn't grow. People are generally working abroad and sending remittances, or there are big landlords and industrialists who are busy only filling up their own pockets. And Imran could not really, push the economy, really get investments from abroad. And in such a situation, the army has felt that, if the Pakistan's economy is in a downward spiral, in few months, or say in a year, the Pakistan Army's budget might get impacted. And that's a big concern for the Pakistan Army, with Imran. And therefore, if what is invisible is the military's hand in what's happening in Pakistan, and probably they have influenced the political parties and from Imran's own party to revolt against him and try to enforce a no confidence motion. The political parties have gone together. The opposition parties and members from his party have moved together a no confidence motion in parliament, which is going to be tabled, put to vote next week. And Imran may stare at a defeat at this moment, and he could be voted on. So he, in anticipating that he's facing a domestic challenge, he tried to do a grandstanding to gather sympathy from the men in uniform as well as other stakeholders in Pakistan. And OIC is an old card in the hand of Pakistan to whip up emotions on Kashmir, because Kashmir is a very, very emotive issue in Pakistan, and the Pakistan polity has not been able to come out of it. However, even in its admission of its own army that the current army chief, that Pakistan has not been able to achieve what they wanted to achieve on Kashmir, and they are now admitting it, and that they had probably lost it in a way. Their cause, quote unquote cause on or crusade on Kashmir. And many members of the OIC today have expanding relations with India. They look at their business, particularly the business ties, and some of them are also looking at the strategic partnership. And incidentally, one of the foreign ministers from Gulf country, instead of visiting Pakistan, is visiting India today, the foreign minister of Oman. So he did not achieve anything significant in OIC. He did not achieve anything significant in terms of his economic, and he's trying to play all these tricks to be in power. My conclusion is that he is a very immature politician. He had no experience of politics except for in opposition politics. He tried to build his career based on his celebrity status as a cricketer. And the army thought that he was an easy tool in their hand to sideline the two dynastic-based political parties, which is the Pakistan People Party as well as Pakistan Muslim League. And they may have been able to, marginalize these two parties, but in the process ended up with a figure who is reduced Pakistan's political status to all-time low. Even if there's a change, and if there are attempts will be made to send signals to India that we will now try and open up channels with you, I don't foresee that then a dramatic improvement will take place in India-Pakistan relations, because despite that their admission internally, there is no such hint that they have dropped their agenda on Kashmir and on bleeding India and their access with China. Which of course China uses Pakistan to as a tool to keep India under check, in the sense to create a disturbance and therefore kind of vitiate the atmosphere and halt the development progress. So there are no signs that these agendas and these motives will be diluted. So we just have to wait and see who will be the new premier in Pakistan, whether now on which figure is army promoting actually. Could be an obscure person, and we wait for the next elections. But it's definitely, while East Pakistan, former East Pakistan and Bangladesh is now achieving tremendous economic growth without, the industrial base and resources of Pakistan. Pakistan is in a really sorry state of affairs.